There we go.
Bruh.
Hey.
Bruh. Bruh.
This producer, man.
Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Mobile, Alabama. We are the boys. Live from the Senior Bowl. Me, Alec, and Jackson. We had a first day of practice, got to meet a couple players, and now we're here on a couch, right in front of you, about to explain everything that unfolded in front of our faces. The good, the bad, the ugly. We might expose a little bit of people. But fellas, kind of, I guess, start with Jackson, left from right.
Okay.
Give me a couple takeaways. We'll talk about players, and then we'll kind of go into like our interviews, how we had at the end of the day. Kind of takeaways from today. What stuff that exceed your expectations, just stuff you want to point out that kind of was there and surprise you maybe.
Yeah, I know. I think the biggest thing outside of just like the players and the players themselves, which we'll get into later, I think the biggest thing was just maybe the energy level difference. Like during the national team practice, they were playing music, and the atmosphere was really high. And then for whatever reason, during the American practice, they chose not to play music. I don't know why they decided to do that. But overall, I think that was probably the biggest thing non-football related that I noticed. But overall, it was great atmosphere for the most part. It was great to be back for the second year in a row. So I'm excited to get started.
As far as the atmosphere, like you were saying, American practice actually had more people there too for how quiet it was, and I don't know. You could feel the energy shift though. I felt the competition was higher in the first practice too, in the one-on-ones, especially in the wide receiver DB group. But yeah,
I don't know the nerve of those type of people, but when we were sitting there recording, I know Jackson didn't notice this. I don't know if you noticed it. There was a guy sitting behind us, and I was standing kind of like watching.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And he like taps me on my shoulder, and he's like, dude, sit down so the people behind you can see. And it's like, we're not here to watch practices. We're here to work. I'm not sitting down. I mean, I kind of ignored him because I was on my phone trying to text and get some stuff done. And he's like, he gets up in front of me, goes, I guess I'll just stand right here then. And he's like, dude, I'm still standing up. I can still see over you. It's not like you're blocking my – I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. After a couple seconds, he got tired of standing in front of me and just left. He went somewhere else. But the nerve of some people. Like, I got a media credential on my chest. And you're going to try to get me to sit down when I'm trying to do some work for the TDT Media? I don't know. The nerve of some people. But I guess that's what you get whenever you come to Alabama.
making enemies on day one.
God dang.
Day one.
Just kidding.
Although we made some good
I
friends
love it
today.
here.
We made some good friends
Yeah,
today,
we did.
no?
There's a lot of good people here today.
Yeah.
I love it here.
Yeah, definitely.
Met some Broncos people.
Jacob, our guy Jacob.
Yeah, and you had a dude.
Yeah, Eli. Yeah.
you were chilling with the whole day.
Yep, from the Packer report. Same thing.
Good dude.
Yeah.
But as we get into, before we get to the players, I kind of want to go by practice. And obviously National was first, so you have more of your Big Ten, your ACC type, kind of your coastal colleges usually is what the national team is, and the American is like more your continental and like southeast, and you get into the other schools. But kind of the national practice. Let's go from there first. I think that's smart because it will stay in chronological order of how it occurred. Anything that kind of pointed out to you? I mean, this is a good thing to name players, maybe coaches if you saw something that kind of stood out. But just anything during the national practice, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, and I'll just start with a comparison to start it off. I think there is a noticeable difference between not only the talent gap at quarterback from last year to this year, and that is no insult to any of the guys that are here right now. It's just it's hard to compete when you have 2 top 12 picks go from your previous class and some other really solid guys. But even paring that down more, I would say just based on what I saw more, so the American quarterbacks looked a lot better. Riley Leonard and Jackson Dart, I think, looked a lot better than any of the national quarterbacks. And I love my boy Taylor from Canada. We'll get into him later. But no, I think there is a noticeable talent gap at quarterback, both from previous years and comparing the teams themselves.
I think maybe like the DBs too on both sides were pretty strong.
Yes.
If I have to say, like, they were pretty strong on both sides of the ball. I mean, I'm excited to see what they're going to put on the field Saturday if they decide to play. But, I mean, you had dudes running 22 miles an hour today.
Yeah, Jalen Smith from USC was 21.6 today. Is the fastest guy. So I agree. The DBs are looking great.
I know you mentioned the drop off in QB play. That showed when Tez Johnson was running his routes too. Dude was wide open on 3 separate routes and got overthrown 3 straight times.
The Mitch Trubisky special, I swear.
Dude, those throws are hit. He's the talk of the day, but he got overthrown 3 straight times, so just couldn't get over that. Hopefully it improves.
Was it the Canadian?
I think it was all of them.
It was multiple. Like, he got overthrown by every quarterback, I think. I think each one of them overthrew him.
Yeah, funny enough, I don't think Dylan Gabriel really got a chance to get him the deep ball at all.
Gabriel was the only one that he didn't get a chance to get a ball from.
He got the least amount of reps today.
Yeah, that's probably – I have a strong feeling Gabriel's probably not going to play much. Maybe he'll do what Bo Nix did last year and play a drive. But – yeah, no, I agree.
I don't think he's going to play too much. You can kind of tell based off the vibe that he's not going to.
Well, I don't know who they were going to bring in because last year they had tons of quarterbacks for each side. I mean, we saw 3 quarterbacks playing 1 quarter at one point, and they only have 2 quarterbacks left to play a whole game.
Maybe maybe they'll pull like a Braden Fisk and have one of them switch teams. Maybe they'll throw. Well, we don't know if Riley Leonard's going to play, so we don't know if that's.
Yeah, this might be 2 and 2.
Yeah, so it's just let's just get. Well, they still have 3 because the American team has 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's right. Milroe, Dart, that's right. And then Leonard, and who was the last one?
Oh, why am I blanking?
I know, I'm blanking right now.
Seth Hennigan.
Hennigan from Memphis. So,
yeah, which wasn't on the roster. You can't fool me. I know. I looked at that roster, and someone said Seth Hennigan, and I did not see a Memphis boy on that roster.
There's a few that weren't on there.
Yeah, I was like, where did he come? He must have got, like, picked up by a helicopter and said, hey, you're going to the Senior Bowl. Because I could not find that dude for my life on that roster. But I love that we're on the topic of quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So let's stay on it. Jackson, you said you wanted to talk a little bit about quarterbacks. You said you wanted to save it for later, but let's talk about it now. Mm-hmm. Kind of the quarterback play. I know I have something to pull, especially for the Canadian.
You just
hating on the foreign.
He doesn't like the Canadian, man.
I'm observing, and if my observations are hate, then I can't help it. Because that's what I observed. But, Jackson, quarterbacks, What'd you like? What you didn't like? What do you think was just right?
Yeah, I will. I'll start it off. I think probably out of everyone today, Riley Leonard has some really nice passes, which is, for those who remember last year, is a marked improvement from the last Notre Dame quarterback that was here, aka Sam Hartman.
Tour dates.
Tour dates, thanks, Cy. But no, it was. He had some really nice strikes. I think he threw like a curl route to somebody. I think that had been Ty Felton from Maryland. I think he hit on one that had a lot of velo on it. I really liked that. Jackson Dart had a nice little like off 1 foot throw on the sideline that looked really good. So I think those two are probably the best quarterbacks of the day. Although I will say our boy Taylor, he's got a deep ball. If nothing else, he's got a damn good deep ball.
Should I talk about the Canadian there?
Let's hear about
Unless we want to
Canadians.
slander an SEC quarterback.
I don't want
Let's
to
slander someone else
talk about
first.
him. We can talk about him too. I don't mind talking about him because he was. But the Canadian,
Look,
look,
the worst one here.
if
today.
you're watching, Taylor, right? I can't pronounce his last name. It's like Emmer something.
Erzma.
Erzma, yes. Erzgency or something. I don't know. Some Canadian last name. But look, if you're watching, Taylor. Can I call you Taylor? Good. I'll call you Taylor. You got a great deep ball, man. I think you only missed on one deep ball all day. But you got to get tighter on that short and medium passes because you are too loose outside here. And so it takes too much time for your short passes and medium passes to get there. And because of that, you're too inaccurate. You don't set your feet when you do your short passes because you think it's easy. Okay? We're in America now. Look, we're in America. This is where we bleed football. Short and medium passes are still worth something. You can still get down the field with short and medium passes.
We're in America.
So we got to work on this. We got to work on this,
This
Taylor.
is America.
I know you can work on it. Because, look, if you end up going to the New Orleans Saints, I'm going to need you. So we need to work on our shorts. We need to work on our mediums. Because I know you didn't go in college football, but they love screens. I know you didn't play college football.
Okay, he played college football in Canada.
But I don't know if they're screen city. They love screens in college football. I'm telling you, if you played NCAA, half of your passes would be screens. We got to work on this, Taylor. I need you to get better for the week so that when Saturday comes, you're going to be called the Canadian Rocket because of how crazy you're going to be accurate on that football field. But
I love that nickname, by the way. Go ahead, finish.
if you want to point out the ugly side of today for quarterbacks,
Jalen Milroe, man. He looked awful.
Future running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Dude. Hey, he measured in under 9 for hands. You know, there's not a single starting quarterback with 9 or below 9 hands. And
I guess there's
Yeah.
a single starter.
yeah, a single starter. That's what I
You're
meant.
thinking Kenny Pickett?
Kenny Pickett, yeah.
Yeah, but a single starter, and he
Small
proved
hands.
why today, dude.
Small hands, Kenny Pickett, bro.
5 straight misses in one-on-ones, right off the bat. And Jackson Dart kind of took advantage of that, and he hit 2 deep balls for touchdowns right after that. I was just like, I don't know if anyone looked worse besides maybe you're Canadian, but I don't know.
Hey, at least he hit deep
I was gonna say
passes.
Milroe might have beaten him for worst QB today, at least in the
It was
one-on-ones.
close.
It was close.
It was close because if you can't complete a short pass, I don't know how to save you.
No,
At least Milroe could complete that.
are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know. man.
I got
could
some
hit-
doubt.
he
I
could
think
hit the
actually
check
that number
down.
was 8. I think I was talking
Yeah.
to somebody else, and they
Yeah.
said it was up to
It was
8
Was
passes
it?
in a row
It was 8.
for Milroe.
Well, you know, I stopped
crazy.
watching at 5 because it pissed me off. So.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Oh yeah, it was. He had quite an awful day to start out the practices this week.
Yeah.
So
So I don't think this prediction of going number 2 to the Browns is looking like that's going to be the case.
no, and I also
Milroe to the Browns. People are predicting that.
No, they're not predicting that. He said he thinks he's worthy enough to be the number 2 pick by the Browns.
gotta start hitting some passes.
He better
tomorrow.
do something then. I don't know. I don't even know if Jesus Christ can save him at this point. You literally got to think. Spencer Rattler won Super Bowl MVP.
Senior Bowl.
Senior Bowl. Sorry, excuse me.
You
Thank
don't get
Jason.
ahead of yourself. I know you play a lot of
Senior
Madden.
Bowl.
Since Fran.
Yeah, I play that.
So,
I actually won Super Bowl with him year 2, but Senior Bowl MVP, and he got drafted in the 5th round. So I mean, I don't even think Jalen Milroe could accomplish that. and get above the 5th round? Because
Well,
I think he might be worse than Spencer Rattler.
we're talking about quarterbacks maybe having to play a lot. He's going to have to play a lot.
Yep.
If he continues this trend, he's going to have something to prove at this
I
point.
have to play at half.
That's what I'm saying.
Didn't y'all say that he wasn't going to play? Or
No, that was Dylan Gabriel.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he didn't originally think he needed to play.
Well, yeah.
But this is Alabama. People want to see Jalen Milroe play
Yeah.
at the Senior Bowl.
Right. It's just depending on how much. Like if he has a good week of practice the next 2 days, maybe it's like a quarter, maybe half a quarter. But if it's like bad or not much better than it is, he might have to play a full half.
Everyone has a bad day of practice, but if he can't bounce back, I think he's going to have to play a lot more than we thought he was going to.
Yeah, this is just first impressions. I mean,
Yeah.
we have a whole week to see what they're worth. And if Jalen Milroe ends up on a practice squad like Sam Hartman, that's just what's gonna happen.
He's going to come to the Saints.
Not just hit the mule. Oh my god.
I'll take him for a 7th round pick.
Undrafted free agent.
Oh, yeah, he ain't falling that far.
Dude,
Maybe he can be the new Taysom Hill.
Or Fannin. Harold Fannin Jr.
He had a couple of drops though today.
Yeah, he did, but he's not.
He
I don't
moves
think
well
he's
for a tight
built
end.
like a tight end to me.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he is though. Like if I think of a tight end, I'm thinking like Darnell Washington build.
That's like an
You know,
extreme.
That's extremely huge.
Like that. He's like a pure blocking tight end.
Yeah,
Like
he is.
if you want like a NFL caliber like catching tight end, and this is just body type, not necessarily skill level, but you're looking for Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts, Cole Kmet to a certain extent.
Throw in Tucker Kraft. Do it. Throw in Tucker Kraft.
I just threw in
No,
Cole Kmet
I
like we would
refuse.
this.
I refuse.
Throw
out
in
of-
Tucker
I
Kraft.
refuse out of
wanna.
principle. I have values.
Values. Man.
I have shame.
Man. So we're talking about Cole Kmet as a receiving time, but not Tucker Kraft.
I'd put Dalton Kincaid over both of them.
That's fair.
I would just
That's
like to
valid.
address Jack's comment. Don't ever compare Harold Fannin to Taysom Hill ever again. Which
No.
is essential.
Yeah, no.
So
I'm not.
I was saying
Don't
Jalen
ever-
Milroe. I was saying Jalen Milroe.
I'm just saying I wouldn't mind him as a Taysom Hill type player because he's stocky, right? He's stocky, and for me,
But he's a lot bigger than Taysom Hill.
I'm not a big fullback guy. I never have been. I mean, unless you're talking about like a Mike Allstott, but we don't have that anymore.
Patrick Ricard is literally like 300 pounds.
Yeah, but like, when have you seen Patrick Ricard do something since 2018? Like, let's be for real. If
Think
I had
about
Harold
John
Fannin,
Cannon.
he would be in my backfield and on the line. I would not be just putting him on the line because for me, he wasn't as good of a receiving tight end as I wanted him to be today. Now, I'm not trying to shield hate or nothing, but he's Harold Fannin, you know? He's my Bowling Green guy.
Can have a bounce back day tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good.
All these guys can.
He was playing a lot of fullback to show his blocking
That's
skills,
what I'm talking about.
Which
I can see these things. I can see them. Thank you, Sai. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't encourage him.
He said he was playing fullback today.
and he was putting on some really good blocks against some really difficult edges.
I can see these
Between-
things. I might as well be an NFL scout. Heck.
If he has a good week, he could go before Tyler Warren, and that's why people want to see Fannin perform well. Yes, he didn't really get any real opportunities to run any good routes. He was primarily just blocking today, but it's first impression, and people like a first impression. Isaiah Likely 2.0, that's what people are saying.
I think that's probably the best comp I've probably heard is Isaiah Likely Part 2.
Man, we need tight end.
Connor wants the entire Saints draft board to just be Senior Bowl players.
What don't you need?
Wide receiver 1.
Dante Pettis.
Dante,
When healthy, that's not saying you don't need a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
They don't need one even with
That's
it.
Dante Pettis at your wide receiver one.
Dante Pettis is awesome. I don't know what you're talking
Bears
about.
legend. Tank Commander legend.
Well, while we're on the topic of receivers, I know y'all had a couple in mind.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes, I actually got to talk with one of them today, who has become one of my favorites to watch so far. Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State. Shout out to you for that interview. That's on my Twitter right now. So if you want to go look at it there. But it will be also posted on YouTube later. He's a really nice guy. Man, a few words. Don't necessarily get into detail about much of the stuff I asked him about. But in terms of his play on the field, he looked pretty good. Unfortunately, 3 of the times I was looking down, posting another clip, he was going off. So shout out to Alec for getting those. But no, he looked good for the most part. He did have a couple of drops on some contested catches. There was one rep against Quincy Riley that he kind of got locked up on, but if you're going to get locked up by anybody, like Quincy Riley is probably one of the best DBs here. So overall, he looked great. Tez Johnson, like,
What is he on that, man?
not in the same like total speed, but maybe like twitchiness. He kind of reminds me of Tyreek Hill.
Very quick.
Like he gets out of his breaks very quickly. He had a nice whip route against Jalen Smith today. So he looked really, really good. And then who did I talk about else today? But there I forgot who he was. It'll come to me later. But yeah, there was Pat Bryant from Illinois had a really nice catch today.
Yeah, he had a good day.
So I really like him too.
Well, on top of Tez Johnson, and then who was the Illinois receiver you just
Pat
said?
Bryant.
Pat Bryant, yeah, he had a good day. The Washington State receiver, Kyle Williams, I really liked the way he was getting in and out of his breaks today. A lot of one-on-one reps. Won't even go back to Tez Johnson getting overthrown all the time. I was having so much fun watching him burn, only to see the ball 20 yards ahead of him, and I'm like, I'm not even going to comment. I won't even comment. But that's all I got for my 3.
I'm gonna be honest. I liked the way he was almost bullied because he got flagged every play. Nobody wanted. He was too quick. Xavier Restrepo, like my guy, would get off that line
From Miami, right?
He would burn like Jalen Smith, for example. Burn Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith's like grabbing his coattails, trying to hold up to him. Flag on the play. So he's just quick. I'm excited to see what he does. He's like on the smaller side though. That's the only thing I know about him. Like he's very limited in he's got physical limitations, of course, but a lot of people do out here. But he's just quick and he's so dang good, especially when he was this year in Miami. Man, he was so dang good.
Well, speaking of physical, I thought of Brew McCoy too, the Tennessee receiver.
Yeah.
He had 2 really physical wins in the one-on-ones today. And every time I looked up, when we were trying to post the clips of Higgins too, we were going back and forth of missing the guys we wanted to watch. But I saw Brew go, and he was just getting open. Every time I look up, he was catching a ball, whether it was 5, 10, 15 yards downfield. He was just open all day.
And I even think Ty Felton from Maryland had some really, really good reps today. Someone who's a bit bigger size, so maybe a bit more possession, physical catch guy, but I think he's got some nice speed on him too.
Yeah, he was one of the deep ball recipients from Jackson Dart, one of the 2. So, he was one of the 2 that really showed his burners today besides Tez.
You talk about receivers. I really liked Restrepo, but we kind of like pushed on all of the ones that kind of stood out today. But you always got to talk about the other side too. We talked about like how strong the defensive backs were for each side, and it really shone on both teams. Like you couldn't say one team was better than the other today, and if you could, it'd be very, very close because that's how good the DBs were today. You talk about Quincy Riley, dude was locking up all day. You just locked down, dude. I thought I was in prison watching him from all the freaking lockdowns he was doing.
The Louisville corner.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, he was crazy.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a video of Jalen Smith first time we mentioned him a bunch. Fastest dude today. He was playing good. He got beat a couple times, but he's got a couple. I think there's another Virginia Tech DB. So he's got
Dorian Strong.
Yeah, Dorian Strong. He's got a little bit of a competition there. So, you got a little friendly competition with one of your ex-teammates.
Yeah, but I think before maybe we even get to talk about the defense as a whole, I think we got to focus on some of the running backs today. The really strong play today. There we got Donovan Edwards from Michigan. Smith from SMU had a really nice run today. Ollie Gordon, probably one of my favorite guys I'd love to talk to tomorrow at some point. I think he had a really strong day. So The running back class is probably just overall in this draft, but especially here at the Senior Bowl, I think is really, really good and something that a lot of teams are going to be watching out for.
Yeah, I was talking to Eli about that actually a little bit today. How this running back class is actually stronger than we think it's going to be. As far as Donovan Edwards, I got to interview him today. Pretty cool guy, pretty poised. You can just tell when you're talking to him, he's calm and he's got a leadership aspect to him. Where I was like, okay, you can just tell he's been a vet of a college team that's won a natty. You could just kind of tell. But as far as like other guys that stood out to me, I really liked Ali Gordon. They both were used in the pass game a lot. I saw each of them have 2 receptions in team time today. So those are the 2 that stood out to me.
If you look at running backs, one of the biggest questions last year was, are any of these guys going to be day 1 picks? And it was like people were asking, oh, who's going to be day 1? Like, who's going to go in the first round? And nobody could really decide who it was going to be until, the draft happened. And now I feel like we're asking the same question. Which one of these guys is going to go first round, if any? And, I guess we'll have to see the whole week, but I don't want to say like it's weak, but obviously you can confidently say like, hey, some of these guys are going to be first round draft picks. For the running backs, we're still asking the same question we did last year.
Yeah, no, I think, and it's the whole thing about you have to be such a great running back that you can force yourself into the first round. Like in the last couple of years, we had Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, like obviously not guys who participated in the Senior Bowl, but guys who were just so good that they forced themselves into the first round. So it's going to be a tough task for some of these guys outside of like an Ashton Genty to force themselves in the first round. I think maybe a sneaky guy too could be like Trevor Etienne, Travis's brother who went to Georgia. He had a nasty route today. I think it was Jalen McLeod of Auburn. So I think he could be another really good receiving back for a team that needs something like that. Every team is looking for a receiving back.
I wish we would have seen Scatabo too.
Oh, don't get me started.
Don't even get me started. But
I'm gonna note something. So realistically, Genty's the only running back who goes in the first round.
Yes.
Also, it's a running back. NFL teams don't value that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was having some conversations with some people today, and like a lot of these guys, like the Ollie Gordon, the Trevor Etienne's, Scatabo was here, Scatabo, like a lot of these guys are all gonna go between that second round to 4th and 5th rounds, and they're all going to land on an NFL roster, and they're gonna get a run, and they're gonna get a shot, because that is how good they are, which is something that's really cool about this week. And why all these guys are here they're trying to show that, hey, we know that we aren't going to get taken first round because we're running back, but we have value. And if you look in the league right now, there's not a lot of first round running backs that are starting. So it's cool.
I think the 3 I named are probably like the only 3 I can think of. Like even like if you just look across the league,
McCaffrey was a first rounder.
Oh yeah, McCaffrey. He was a top 5 pick. I think. Yeah. I mean, Josh Jacobs
yep,
was a first round pick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think but those are all the elite guys. Like any of like the mid tier, like even with the Lions, you want to go like David Montgomery. He was a 3rd round pick. Roshan Johnson for the Bears was a 4th round pick.
Pacheco, you got 7th.
Right.
Rounder.
So you can find running backs pretty much anywhere. So for a team like if you get Cam Scatabo in the 4th round as like a power back or something, like you're gonna love that all day long.
Think about landing any of the guys we've named that are here, 3rd, 4th round. You're looking at your draft like, okay, like that was a great value pick just because it's a running back at this point.
I think it's good to note, honestly, like there's still strength in this running back class, like there was last year. If you look at someone like Cody Schrader, for example, that was at the Senior Bowl last year. He signed with the Niners. It didn't work out. They waived him. Immediately picked up by the Rams right when he got on waivers. So it's not like these guys are still wanted by NFL teams. That's how you know the strength of these players. He could get off roster and then, bam, be on the next one the next day. And that's exactly what happened with someone like Cody Schrader. And I could see something like that happening if a team's like, oh, well, maybe you don't fit our scheme like we thought you did. He's going to get picked up right away by someone else.
I believe that about most of the backs here. Just watching both sides, I was like, I mean, there's not many guys here that aren't going to get shot. I think they're all at least going to get one shot somewhere. Especially the guys we already named.
Mhm.
Like, you're looking at ETN, and then you're looking at Edwards and Scatabo if he was here. Gordon. All those guys are going mid-round, and you're going to at least have a running back 2 out of them. If not, you're 1 eventually.
I mean, you look at Ray Davis on the Bills. Dude just played in the AFC Championship. He had a couple carries. I mean, he was there, and he was here last year.
Yep.
You know,
Mhm.
so these guys are going to get opportunity. If you're a third string, like I think Ray Davis is the third string for the Bills.
Yep.
He's still got playing time. So it's like these guys are still going to be valued, just maybe not as much as they'd want to right away.
Yep.
It might take a little bit of time unless you're obviously a Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs or Saquon.
Yeah. I don't think, like, unless they're in the exact right situation, they probably won't come in and be day 1 starters. But I believe that there's multiple guys here that'll work their way up and do it.
I think maybe like even outside of Genty, there's only like one team. Like if they drafted a running back in the second round, they'd be a day 1 starter, and that's the Raiders.
Yeah.
Raiders
Yeah.
or Giants maybe, or like to only 2 teams.
Cowboys, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah,
Did
he
pretty
did
good
pick it
for
up
the
for them.
Giants.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
And that shows exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah,
Find Tyrone
Oh,
Tracy, and
man.
boom. He played receiver at Purdue for most of his career, if not all of it. And then
He was Iowa guy for 3 years, transferred to Purdue his last year, and it was his first year truly playing running back.
yeah,
Went to
exactly.
the combine, popped off the combine, got taken that 4th round, and it was history from there.
Yeah, and there you go, just like that. Dude that had played receiver for how long and just turns into a running back, and he's great.
That's just an athlete, though, man. There's
Yep.
a lot of athletes out here in the Senior Bowl. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, if Jalen Milroe don't work out at quarterback,
I'm telling you.
I think he
New
needs to go
Taysom Hill?
slip somewhere else. What I tried to say about Anthony Richardson.
I don't want to say it about Milroe yet. I don't want to be that guy. I really don't.
No, I
but
think he's got
Because
a,
none of us want to be Bill Polian saying that Lamar Jackson
Yep.
is a wide receiver.
I want to be under that fire. But
no, because Lamar Jackson is. I mean, people were saying, like, oh, this isn't the guy. You know, he's not going to be the guy in college. I think Lamar Jackson was the reason people like Anthony Richardson got drafted so high.
Him and Josh Allen.
I don't even want to say Josh Allen because, like, they're different ball players.
yeah,
Quite literally, Josh Allen and Anthony Richardson were the same player coming out of college. Historically inaccurate in college, big body, run people over, needed work with their accuracy. The difference is that either with better coaching or better work ethic, Josh Allen has reached that perfect like combination where Richardson is still struggling to even complete 60% of his passes.
I think experience was a big thing, too. I mean,
That-
when you
Yeah,
start,
because
that
I
when
think
you
he
was
start
played like
one
16
season-
games between high school and college.
when you
something
start one
ridiculous.
season
that's
low.
insane.
It's like, how can you fully scout a player with 12 games of football in college? Like,
Yeah.
it's not possible.
That was another like Zach Wilson where you at the pro day and the combine and your throws start looking real good and then your stock just, but you're not actually playing against defenses and that. So I don't know. I feel like when he threw that one 70-yard ball, especially Richardson, his stock, everyone freaked out about it, and I'm like, I don't know. We've seen this story before. We've seen this story before. I hope he gets it fixed.
Shane Steichen thought he was going to be some magic man and just turn Anthony Richardson into some MVP candidate. I don't know what he thought it was, but it was a project. It was like I pulled a car out the junkyard and expected to be my daily driver.
Hey man, Josh Allen's QB coach. You did it once. He could do it again. That's who Richardson's working out with all off season. So
Maybe.
we'll see.
I mean, he's still young. He's got time to develop
Yeah.
into
Absolutely.
a great tight end.
Well, yeah. Tight end.
The next
Hey, the Colts do need one. The Colts
next-
do need one.
The next Tim Tebow.
Jaguars practice squad tight end. Yeah, freaking Tim Tebow, man.
Man,
lordy.
bring back Tim Tebow. Bring back Tim Tebow.
I think he's good for his that. That's okay. Like that's not even like being mean to him. Like I think he's just happy where he is.
I
don't think he's
enjoy
going anywhere else.
watching him on TV for sure. SEC Nation brings me very, very much joy.
Very much joy.
Especially being, I was on it last year, so it's
Oh dang.
fun. Yeah, I was right behind Roman Harper with the cardboard cutout of him.
That's
Fun.
sick.
It was fun. He posted me on Instagram. It
That's
was
funny.
good. It was good. But I kind of want to, transition back into the Senior Bowl. If you want to talk about the trenches, I didn't get to see a lot of one-on-ones with the big guys because I did that all last year. So I just kind of wanted to see one-on-ones with the wide receivers and DBs. But I think, Jackson, you had a little bit of time in the trenches. Maybe you, Alex. So is there anything that stood out to you in terms of that?
No, I wasn't necessarily directly in with the trenches, but I did, and since we've gotten back here. I had time to look through some of the film throughout most of the day. I forgot his name already, but the kid from North Dakota State had some really good reps today. And even on the defensive side of the ball, Walter Nolan from Kentucky.
He's from Ole Miss.
Oh, Walter Nolan's from Ole Miss?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Big dude, big dude. I'm thinking of Deion Walker. Deion Walker's from Kentucky. Both those guys look really, really good today in the trenches.
Is that SEC conference, baby?
Yep. Although I will say, on the other side of the coin, Mike Green, I think, was the second fastest edge rusher today overall. So Mike Green's looking real good, and there's a reason a lot of people are excited about Mike Green.
I like Ja, dude. Ja was man. I stood next to him. I thought I was like a child. I thought he was literally about to pick me up like the Lion King.
He's a big human.
Oh my god!
Big human that can move, by the way.
Can move.
He was wasn't he the highest?
Fastest.
Fastest lineman.
Yep.
Yeah. 19. It was like 19.64 miles an hour. That dude can move.
That's scary.
Imagine having that coming at you.
Imagine that.
You see Ja joint. I mean that. I'm telling you, he was almost two. He was two of me in weight. He was almost two of me in height, and I had to look up at him like he was like my father when I was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Dude.
It was crazy.
Imagine 6'5", 265 of pure muscle just coming at you at 20 miles an hour.
I want to see that 40.
Oh man, I'm excited. Dude. I'm gonna watch more of the big man one-on-ones because when I did talk to him today, I was like, I didn't watch you just yet because I was watching more of the wide receiver side one-on-ones. But he said there wasn't anything that stood out to him. So I was like, well, that's because I wasn't watching you. I'll watch him tomorrow. They have practice tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow's a big media day.
Yeah, that's in the afternoon after practice.
Yeah, I thought so. When they practice tomorrow, he better.
And then I have to do this since he's off camera, but Yahya Black had a really good rep today. He was getting into it with one of the offensive linemen today from Iowa. He looked really good today too. Just tons of guys. Wasn't necessarily around them a lot, but I didn't notice any defensive linemen especially having a tough time. But there were a few times that offensive linemen were really struggling. I think TJ Sanders bowled over offensive linemen, so a lot of defensive line talent, especially on the interior.
Yeah, I heard more from other people that were down there, at least for the American side, that the offensive line was kind of dominant against that defensive line. So
Really?
yeah, I've heard that the offensive line won. I think it was all but 2 reps in the one-on-ones. That's from what I heard.
So one of those is probably the TJ Sanders rep.
Yeah.
I would have felt like the offensive lineman would come from the Big Ten and stuff. Kind of those schools.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole practice kind of had a way different vibe to it, with the no music and everything from the start.
Oh,
Yeah.
they were locked in.
Yeah.
There was something up. They're not playing music. Something's going on.
Yeah, right.
I might be scared or something. If I had somebody on it, because that means they're playing like it's the real deal.
Yeah.
When there's no music, they ain't playing around.
Yeah, Sai, you were down there a lot today,
I was
weren't
going
you?
to say a couple of linemen that's, if we're going to talk strictly offensive linemen that stood out today, our guy Jackson Slater, him and I can't remember North Dakota State's off the top of my head, but a lot of people are talking some very good things about them because they weren't expecting him a whole lot.
Ray Zabel.
Ray Zabel's at this moment the best interior lineman here, period.
Well, a lot of analysts I've been seeing had him ranked as their player of the day.
Yeah.
Out of everybody. He had a good day, and then I saw Slater's 1 rep on the DN.
Slater had a lot of good reps today. He had
Yeah.
a couple where he got a little, where it looked a little rougher than usual, but he had a good rep. Teams are loving him.
He was definitely in the top tier of the linemen that we saw today.
And then Colin Rogers, the O lineman from Texas Tech, which those may know, last night he was the one in the lobby in downtown Mobile that was taking the center snaps with Taylor with the Canadian Heisman, if that's because that's what his nickname was coming in here.
Elgersma, if you want to.
He was the Canadian Heisman. The
Yep.
Heisman expectations must not be
Also,
that high in
Hunter,
Canada.
Canadian football.
Hey,
we
he
have
threw for over
3
4,000
downs,
yards
not
and
4
40
downs.
touchdowns.
Oh, that's pretty good. They were up off the deep balls. So he can connect on.
But those were the ones in particular who had a really good day. A lot of the other line, it was the trenches. It also was hard for the media in the stands because they were very good at circling everything and not letting us say anything because that's how invested
They couldn't see
the more
crap.
important media was very invested in that, along with those DB wide receiver 1-on-ones are going at the same time.
I noticed that too. They blocked out pretty much every part of that.
Everything,
Yeah.
But also shout out Donovan Izarike, the D lineman from Boston College. Freak. Very good.
Can we say like the trenches, the lineman that was our like position of the day?
Yeah.
Like those were the guys today?
Probably.
If the quarterback play was better, 100% the wide receiver DBs could have taken the cake. But
Yeah.
that wasn't the
the
case.
case.
The throws overall today were not giving
Flanagan
their
and Bill
chance.
Gabriel are 2 quarterbacks today that honestly were the ones who had a good day.
And Jackson Dart.
Dart had a pretty decent day.
Dart had an okay day, but like my MVP is Seth Hennigan. So a lot of people are like, "Whoa, what is this? Who's this? Why is he here?"
The most
And then
consistent quarterback here.
look at his numbers the past 4 years. He's been consistent, 3,200 guy, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Consistent. Yeah, he's a group of 4 guy. That's the problem with a lot of these group of 4 guys and FCS guys. It's like, all right, can they perform against?
I mean, he went to Memphis. It's not like he went to some.
But
Memphis
still,
used to be a big powerhouse.
But
in college
it's
football.
still
They
that-
used to
Yeah.
take numbers.
it's still the fact of
He's not in a
Everybody-
Power 5 conference.
everybody judges the difference between FBS and FCS, and then we even have some even smaller FCS schools here. Like we have a kid here, a DB here from Southern Arkansas.
Hmm?
Because Jim Nagy sees something in this kid and like, okay, let's give him a chance to shine.
Yeah, we got a couple like North Dakota State, Sacramento State.
Yeah.
Can't really name. I don't know the other ones. I'll have to think. But I don't know. Everybody. It just doesn't matter where you come from, right? A lot of people say like it's in the same sense like, oh, a degree's a degree. You know, it just matters what you do with it as long as you have it. And that's honestly, you can say the same about this position. All these positions, like an O lineman's an O lineman. It just matters what they do with what they got.
Yeah.
You know, if you good in D3 and someone sees something in you. I mean, Teron Armstead for the Saints. He's from Arkansas Pine Bluff, dude. Jari Evans. He's from D2 school, D3 school.
Quinn Miners.
Yeah.
UW Whitewater.
There it is. There it
I gotta
is.
shout him out.
Like, you can find diamonds in the rough, not only from the top soil. You know, if you just dig a little bit deeper, there's these gems down there that are solid. That'll be solid starters. It's happened before. It's going to continue to happen.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's good to have a good mix of guys here because it only adds to competition. Because those guys are hungry. Those guys have this shot to prove it. So they're coming in just as hungry as the guys who went D1.
Absolutely.
I would like just to say Jack said Warhawk FC rise up.
Yeah. See, Jack gets it. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, shout out Bruce. Gentlemen, great job so far.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Well, if it's okay with y'all, I kind of want to shift over to defense. We talked about the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
Before
Oh,
we
we're going to
shift
do an ad.
over to defense, yes, we're gonna do an ad.
Is it our boy?
Are we saying we gotta say hey to Jeff, But we're gonna in particular, we might not be in a home. We may be in a hotel. We may have had a lot of hotel problems in the past 24 hours. But
We're here.
we're here, and we got some good home insurance.
Erie Insurance says here's to the grown-ups who move, mortgage, mow, and still bust a move. But does your home insurance still fit? Erie helps you protect the home you've grown into, all at fair prices that are often less than the other guys. So how do you find the right coverage? Magic. Nope. Local independent agents who get to know you like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
And when you call Jeff Ortepney at 704-464-4544, go ahead and ask him if he insures hotel rooms, because we had quite a problem last night. But we're here. We got the setup.
Shout out to Leonard.
Shout out to Leonard. I don't know where
Big
Leonard
homie
is.
Leonard did not like the smoke stone in his sweets.
He
So
must
now
not
we
like
get
the
it.
sweets, but we like it a lot. So we're here, and we got the room to be here. What did MJ say?
My boys.
What's
Hey.
up, MJ?
Hey, Dad.
I am Jay.
All right.
Oh.
Before Cy kindly interrupted me with the Jeff Ortepney defense,
Trevor Tetney never interrupts.
we talked about D linemen. Man, if you want to talk about linebackers, I had a dude that I was watching. You know, I was watching all day Jackson.
Mhm.
But if you want to go linebacker, whoever you want to do, I don't care. We talked a little bit about DBs. We haven't really talked at all about linebackers. Is there anybody that stood out?
I'm trying to look at my list here.
I got somebody if we want to talk about it.
From a fashion standpoint, shout out to Demetrius Knight for his
Naruto arm sleeve.
So shout out to him for that.
Yeah,
That was fun.
that was so funny.
But in terms of actual play, actual stuff on the field, I gotta say Jeffrey Bassa.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
the dude I've
just
been
gonna say,
watching.
like
I told you when he was warming up to watch
I
out
think
for
he
him.
was the fastest between the linebackers and tight ends all day, at least for the national team. I can't confirm whether it was for all day, but he was in cover. He was flying all over the place. I think on a
Man.
deep ball, he even got like a hand on a ball, even when it was 7-on-7 drills.
Mhm.
So he could be a very good coverage linebacker. Like if you're in your nickel set, you will be more than happy with him as your sub linebacker.
Yeah, when you mentioned linebackers right away, the first guy that popped in my head was also Bossa. He had the best day by far of that group. Just the way that he was driving in on the football, no matter where it was, and the way he could get out to the flats to cover running backs too. He was just all over the place today.
Usually people say like, oh, if a linebacker covers a running back sometimes, or like a good running back, or like a tight end, oh, it's a mismatch. It didn't look like that with Baza today.
No.
He did not look. If Baza was playing at DB, it would be a mismatch. But if he
Mhm.
played against a tight end or running back, dude was on fire.
He was
against
stride
He
for
would have to
stride.
be against a wide receiver to be mismatched, because that dude was coming back in coverage and just knowing exactly where the ball was right where. I mean, he looked so good, man.
I
Looked so
Mhm.
good.
want to give an honorable mention. Bassa was great, but in his same group today was Cody Lindenberg from Minnesota, who
He did good too.
Lindenberg.
6'3", 240, fourth fastest linebacker and tight end of the whole day, and he's quick. He's very shifty. He's what you want as a ball hawk linebacker. It does not matter if it's coverage, if he's rushing the ball, he finds it. Period. And watching how he moves and how quick and like shifty he is for his size, you don't teach that. Like that's like, I'm not gonna call him a freak, but he's like a genetic freak in a way, and teams are going to fall in love with him. He gives me, this isn't the greatest comparison, but he gives me a lot of Jack Campbell vibes.
I knew you were gonna say Jack Campbell.
Because that's what I see. And yes, he's a Big Ten linebacker too, but that was my biggest vibe that I was getting from him today. And also, Minnesota fans love him, and Minnesota fans loved me today, and that really hurts. But I love them for this week,
Yes.
and that's we take this.
We'll take it for this week.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
I know the man in the middle also does not like Minnesota either. So okay.
And they stole our axe, so
Yes, they did.
You gotta
Yeah,
love the Golden Gophers.
Although I will say
You would say that.
on the other end of the spectrum, Eugene Asante from Auburn, he had a rough day in one-on-ones against running backs. There were several times where he was getting beat short on those routes, and I noticed like he was just really getting frustrated. Like the last rep that he had that I saw when he got to the sideline, he clapped his hand together. He's like, "Man!" And then he just kind of walked slowly back to the huddle because that was the last rep that they were doing. So I don't know if it's a quickness thing, a speed thing, trying to keep up with some of these running backs, but he, from what I saw at least, struggled quite a bit in coverage.
Well, maybe he just needs to be on the line. I mean, how big is he? Could he be an edge?
He is 6'1", 219. That's a little undersized to be an edge.
Yeah,
Getting smaller for a backer too.
yeah, he's getting a little small for a back.
Yeah.
He might need to lose a couple
Pounds
couple
of
pounds.
safety.
Drop to box safety.
Yeah, he can't play DB. If he was getting beat by running backs, he can play DB, but I'm saying like he can't play cornerback. If he was getting beat by running backs, he gonna get beat by somebody like
Probably
Ted
a
Johnson.
box safety nickel type.
Yeah, he might have to be.
Yeah, I'll have to see if he bounces back. I think these guys
Another
can.
bounce
but
back candidate is going to also in the same group is Justin Barron out of Syracuse.
yeah,
He had a drop problem today, and you could see him visibly like getting upset about it. So if we want to talk about bounce backs, he's my biggest bounce back for tomorrow.
I mean, you just moving him might be the best, and this is the great thing about the Senior Bowl. Like your weaknesses can be a strength for some teams. Like they can look at this guy and be like, okay, well he's not good in coverage. Let's put him back in the box. It was the same deal with Isaiah Simmons back in whenever he got drafted. I can't remember, but he was a linebacker his entire
I think
career.
it was
in college.
2019, if I remember correctly.
It could have been. I mean, he was a linebacker his entire career. Cardinals picked him up, tried him at linebacker. They didn't like it. They put him at strong safety. He shined just like that. And maybe that's sometimes what it takes for these guys to shine. You might play a linebacker in college, but once you get to the NFL, it's a different ball game.
such a scheme situational fit type game.
It's all
It
scheme.
really
It's
is.
all scheme. And if he can fit in somebody's scheme better, playing in a box as a safety, let's do that. That's what Isaiah Simmons did,
Yep.
and he found success.
Mm-hmm.
He's bounced around a little bit since then, but I think he's at least doing solid with the Giants now.
Yeah, I mean, he's okay with the Giants. I wouldn't call him bad. I mean, he's not getting traded somewhere. They're keeping him. They think he's valued to their team.
Yeah, that's another. Speaking of the whole move, I'll move on to my guy, Hunter Waller.
Oh,
Kind of some rough one-on-ones.
Oh, yeah.
You saw that with me.
Yeah.
He got burnt twice, but in team he bounced back, and he's always been a good run-filling safety. He filled the run very nicely today, but his one-on-ones.
Mason Taylor kind of cooked him.
Yeah, I kind of put my head down. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see it, but but I got a chance to catch up with him after, and he admitted to it. He was like, "Yeah, I gotta be better in coverage, but I played all over the place, and I think honestly I could see him being even moved to a box linebacker just like that, like just the opposite way of Simmons, instead of linebacker to safety, safety to linebacker. But it's just all positional and scheme at that point.
Yep.
So it just kind of depends where he ends up.
he might have to. Some of these guys are. If you can make a pick and keep these guys on your roster, you have won the draft. That is your goal. If you can draft people and somehow keep them and not waive them, because I'll tell you what, Mickey this past year waived over half of the people he drafted. That's horrible. That is horrible. If you have 7 picks in the draft and you waive 4 of them, you have not done your job. That's horrible. I hate that.
Yep.
I don't know how you can scout all offseason and end up with less than
It
half
ended
of
up,
that.
yeah, exactly. It ended up waiving half of the people you just drafted. That's not how you do your job.
No.
And if these teams are like, okay, I'm going to take Hunter, for example, make him a box safety, and he shines, he stays that way, then they've done their job.
Hey, man, he's a Wisconsin defender. He'll find a way. I'm just saying.
They always find a way somehow.
Zach Bond did.
Zach Bond, Sanborn, Edwards, Van Ginkel. All of them. Besides Vince Beagle, and that's the one that the Packers took. So that's the most recent one that wasn't great. And then he went to the Saints and was fine. Better than he was here. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Hunter will find a way either way. I'd like to see him try it out this week at linebacker. I don't know if that'll happen, but I'd just like to see it just to get a feel for his game there. Because when I'm watching him play safety, I'm like, he really does have linebacker tendencies too.
Yeah.
But either way, bounce back candidate tomorrow too. I don't know.
Well, we have 5 minutes left before we end the show. Is there anything that you would like to point out that you saw that we might have not discussed to kind of wrap it up and say, hey, you know, this happened. I want to say this for the first day, and to just lead on into the rest of the week?
I know we put like the offensive and defensive line as like our position of the day, but for me, the player of the day was Maxwell Hairston from the corner from Kentucky. Like, I know we were talking about Quincy Riley locking people up. I swear, every time I looked at Maxwell Hairston, he was getting his hand on the ball. Like, I don't think he let up a catch today, and if he did, it was probably in a one-on-one with a slant route, which is basically, unless you read it right away, is a guaranteed catch.
Yeah.
But yeah, he far and away, him and I would even say Trey Amos had really, really good days today at the corner spot. I cannot wait to try and grab them tomorrow.
I was going to say, to add on to your Hairston, Brew McCoy's only rep that he lost was against him in a physical battle for the ball. As far as my player of the day, the Miami tight end. I'm trying to think of his name.
Oh, I got you.
He had
Elijah Arroyo.
Yes, Elijah Arroyo. I saw in one-on-ones, he was burning DBs, he's burning safeties, and as a tight end, it was like, why is he burning them? Like, why has he got the burners? He's huge. He had 2 long touchdowns, and then in team, I saw him have at least like 3 to 5 receptions. It was somewhere in that range.
6'4", 245.
Yeah, and he was moving. So I'm excited to see if you can build on that tomorrow.
Well, talking about Trey Amos, Jackson.
Yes.
We didn't have a very good.
The old man in the blue polo, you know who you are.
Oh my gosh!
Don't even get me started on
You
that.
had the old man blue polo bandit too.
Mm-hmm.
Striped blue bandit.
On Shamiri DK, he did the same thing.
I mean, we waited the whole entire media time to get Trey Amos. He's like, oh, you know, I got to talk to my buddy. I don't even know who that guy was. But
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I got to talk to him real quick. I'll get you after.
And I thought the old guy was just going to take a picture and
Yeah, I thought so too. He was like, oh, let me get a picture or something. I don't even know what he was doing. He had his little notebook that they used in 1974 to do media. But we waited, and the old man took the rest of the media time. And we still waited after the media time was finished. And we were just like, bro, this old man ain't ever going to stop talking.
Yeah, and get that right after he left you guys. I was waiting for DK. He got in there with his little notepad, a little 1974 notepad. He's like, so how do you like it in Wisconsin? And then it was like, well, I know you like it in Wisconsin, but do you like it when it's cold in Wisconsin? And I was sitting there like, dude, like, okay, what are you picking at? Like, come on.
That is, and we talked about this earlier. That is like one of my biggest like pet peeves in journalism overall. Is like if you're digging for something just to find some level of controversy, like he's literally looking forward to like to him to say like I hate Wisconsin, I scorched earth. We're just like, you know, it wasn't a good fit for me anymore. I wanted to go somewhere else and get more targets, do this, get a better career, set myself better for the NFL. There's nothing wrong with that. Guys do it all the time. Even in the pre-NIL and a lot more freedom of movement, guys do that all the time.
I don't blame him. He's a Wisconsin native. He wanted to go down south for a change. Why can you blame the guy? Yeah. It's warm down there.
It's great down here. I grew up here.
Yeah,
South is great.
It's warm, man.
It's like 3 weeks ago from where I live. It was 60 degrees colder.
Yeah. Just like last night, I got picked up at the airport. Eventually.
Hey.
That was not Si's fault. Let's just get that out there.
I'm just playing.
It was. Thank the Lord for living.
In that day of traveling yesterday, it was a 60-degree swing from Wisconsin to here.
Dang.
So, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. I don't blame DK one bit.
You say it's warm, and we both got burnt just a little bit.
Yeah,
And the
somehow.
sun
all
was
did.
all behind the clouds. I'm like, well, maybe I don't need sunscreen. I don't really feel myself getting burned. And I took that nap and woke up,
Yeah.
and I was burnt.
We managed to get burnt with a UV of 4.
Four.
The sun was behind the clouds.
Behind.
White boy winter.
Yeah, we got burnt somehow.
I don't get it. I don't get
You
it.
would think we would learn, but we were like, oh, we're going to be chilling. We're going to be
I
fine.
think you can see
Hey,
mine.
at least we
Yeah.
brought the sunscreen this time. It was just we didn't decide to use it.
Check this out. You can see it on the camera even.
See over here, too.
Yeah, dude, I got cooked. I got cooked by UV of 4.
I wanna highlight 2 guys. One, purely for the fact of the big deal for me. Alec got to talk to his Wisconsin boys. I got to talk to one of my Iowa boys. I got to talk to Sebastian Castro today, who Micah Hyde 2.0. That is my comp I have for him. Yes, I'm giving him comp to a former Iowa guy. Sue me. But he lost his only one-on-one rep he had today, but when he was playing zone coverage, when he was running his drills, perfect. He wants to learn. He's willing to learn. He's the new gen rookie, 24. Like he's an older prospect. He's had 5 years of college ball because of COVID, but his numbers don't lie. He's coming from a really good Iowa secondary. He's got to play with Cooper DeJean, and just he's not gonna go first round. He's like a 3rd or 4th round guy, but we've seen 3rd or 4th round guys from Iowa City, aka Desmond King, for example, who will go to the league and will be a rotational special teams guy at first. Once they get that opportunity starts, they do some really cool things. And then shout out to the hometown boy. He's not really a hometown boy. He's 45 minutes away, but Keandre Jackson had himself a day.
He did.
He was a later FCS ad from Illinois State, and he led all players today in max celebration, going 5.61 yards per second. I think the next closest was like 5.47, so
Absolutely
a little bit of a
flying.
gap. 4th fastest player overall at about 20.45 miles per hour. Electric. He can play man. He can play zone. He had a pick 6 against Iowa in week 1 this year, and he's a really, really good guy. And when somebody comes out of Bloomington, Illinois, and comes down here and gets the ball outs, it's kind of cool. So I gotta show him some love.
Yeah. We love our giant 6'3" safeties around here.
All right.
Doing great.
I got one more thing too. I want to know each person's breakout candidate for tomorrow. Who do you think is going to make up their ground that they lost today?
Ooh, make up their ground. Honestly, I don't think he really lost any ground, but maybe if the quarterbacks are better. I think Tez Johnson is going to score like 3 touchdowns tomorrow. I'm booking it right now. Tez Johnson is going to score 3 touchdowns tomorrow, whether it's in 7-on-7 or 1-on-1s.
What about you?
I was gonna say Ted Johnson, but if I had to pick somebody else, that's fine.
I think we're all on the same page with Tez Johnson.
think,
Tez
like,
Johnson's
Tez
number
Johnson-
1. Golly, man.
he had so many times where it was like, oh man, he just got good separation, and the ball would just be like 8 yards in either direction of him.
He broke the one corner's ankles. The guy was laying on the ground 5 yards away, and the ball still ended up out of bounds. I was like, okay. Anyway. Don't get me started. I will go for a half an hour about that. All right. So besides Tez,
Well, it's, dude, I gotta think about it. I'm thinking offense, which is probably who's gonna make up the most of the ground. Honestly, he wasn't bad. I'd like to see Jackson Dart do more.
I agree.
I
Okay.
think that, and it's hard for me to say this, but there's a lot that he did in college that he has not been able to show at the Senior Bowl yet. And I think once he's able to show it, he'll be able to break out into what he's supposed to be. But right now they're limiting the quarterbacks into like, I mean, I probably saw 3 times where somebody threw on the run. It was very rare. They're really limited to them to stay in that pocket to see. And I guess this is kind of like how they want to do it for practice. They want to see how well they can stay in the pocket. I get that. But Jackson Dart ain't no pocket passer.
Some guys need to be out of the pocket.
That
to
dude
be
was out the
effective.
pocket about 80% of his snaps in college.
The one thing I will say with that too is under center today he fumbled 3 snaps.
Yeah.
Because they have them moving under center, but they're mostly shotgun. Like at least
He's always shotgun.
So it's like
rarely under center unless he's handing it off.
And new center against fresh new D line, like it'll get better tomorrow. But
all right, I got a couple guys.
Yeah.
Girl.
Okay, well, we'll just go to them. They're both DBs, but I want to see Maxon Hook, DB out of Toledo. I want to see him do a little bit more. He was just kind of static today. He didn't do a whole lot. Didn't really have that opportunity to show off because of everybody else, DB-wise, who was there. But then the biggest one, he had probably the worst day that I've seen, purely based on the one-on-ones, was Bial Cohn, the wide receiver, the DB from Western Michigan. He got burnt by Jaden Higgins and Tej Johnson. And
yeah, it's 2 tough matchups. It's 2 tough matchups.
I have a clip of Higgins burning him for 10 yards. Like deep ball, he one bad step could not recoup. But when you look at his college film, look at his stats, he was for a smaller school guy in Western Michigan, he was really. So I just want to see overall. I want to see these DBs do a little bit more. Which and vice versa, I need the quarterbacks to not be booty cheeks.
We keep coming back to them because it was that bad. We can't emphasize it if you weren't here.
Quarterbacks have quite literally affected how the wide receivers did and the DBs did. DBs can't do much if they don't have the ball close to them.
Yeah, both, and it goes wide receivers and DBs with the quarterbacks. It was just that bad today. Besides the 2, but I mean, when I'm looking at it, you can go. We already said Tez, Jalen Milroe. He's got a lot of bounce back to do tomorrow. So a lot. I'd really like to see him prove everyone wrong, including myself, but we'll see. Hopefully he can drop some balls in the bucket. He's got a good group of receivers on his side, so I'd like to see him improve a lot tomorrow. But, yeah, that's what I'll go with.
Anything else?
I think that'll do it.
All right, so we talked about players we like, we talked about players we disliked, and we talked about players we loved. But there's nothing more that the TDT team loves than a good card commercial, and the best commercial out there. Hey guys, it's Third Down Tuesdays. I know you've never heard of it before, but we'll be back for the rest of the week. Stay tuned.